So, good evening, friends. I, Ankit Kumar, welcome you all to the seventh episode of Professional Talk. And with me today, you will be meeting Mr. Rajarshi Dasgupta, a career counselor and a motivator, and a person who actually impressed me a lot. And I asked for a half an hour time to him to guide the entire audience, whosoever is watching this interview and will be watching later on. So I am just asking Mr. Dasgupta to join the stream. So welcome to the stream, sir.
Yeah, hi Ankit. Good evening to you and everybody who is watching. And
Good evening, sir.
thank you for giving me the opportunity to
Good evening, sir.
come
Good
live on
evening.
your show.
Sir, you have a long career in pharmaceutical industry in different roles. So to entire viewers, I just want that you put some of your experience gleaned so that they could understand your sales path and the entire journey of your pharmaceuticals life, sir.
Okay, well, I'll be very brief because the career is pretty long,
Sure,
uh,
sir.
much more than 3 decades. So, well, I started as a medical rep, and my first place was in today's Jharkhand in Ranchi. In those days, it was Bihar. And I started with a company called Organon, which is now a part of MSD.
Okay.
So, and I still remember that company because it was supposed to have the best training program, and in fact, I really gained a lot from that particular company as far as my
Mhm.
foundation is concerned.
Mhm.
So, 6 weeks training, it did me a lot of good to progress in pharmaceuticals. And then I joined German Remedies in Calcutta. Uh, I was working in different territories. We all had to cover city plus up country. So fair bit of touring we had uh, in the district towns, and I feel in hindsight that it was a very good idea to give everybody a touring area because
Mhm.
that teaches you a lot. Because in a city, you are working in a pool territory.
Mhm.
In a pool territory, the accountability of an individual, of a salesperson, is somehow, I would say, shared by many people. So, unless one works in an independent area, which I did in Ranchi also, the learning is not to that extent, uh, good as compared to uh, independent territory. So, I was covering West Bengal and Calcutta city for 6 years, and then I was promoted as a first-line manager, area manager in Guwahati. But I was had to look after the entire northeastern states, the three divisions which we had, all the three divisions, with 9 people. So,
Okay.
that was again a very good exposure, uh, handling a team of 9 people, and I was the youngest ever to be promoted in German Remedies at the age of 27.
Mhm.
So, this was a very good experience, and somehow there was a joint work at one point of time with a product manager who came down to work with me, and he somehow motivated me to try in product management because he felt that I would be good in it. So he told me that you do a part-time MBA course and then keep trying because it's not easy to shift. If you're doing well in sales, your bosses will not allow you to go to product management.
Mhm.
So it was not easy. So after Guwahati, I kept trying and I went to Bombay as a product manager for German Remedies' largest division. In those days, we had the division concept. So
Mhm.
Schering was the largest division in those days, and I took over as a product manager. So, and that was again a very good learning period for me
Mhm.
because independently handling the product management of a division, we had some support staff, but it was indeed a very enriching experience. And somehow the German Remedies had this, problem of frequent structuring and restructuring. And there was a time when I was looking for a higher level of higher position, but then I realized that with a new restructuring process, I'll have to wait much longer. So then I thought of changing my company. So I joined Sol Pharma. In those days, it was a very prominent company, which later, because of certain issues, Sol Pharma had to go under the, it was sold off. Most of the brands were taken over by Dr. Reddy's. So Sol Pharma was a completely new experience, and I would say I wouldn't have been a complete pharma person if I did not work in Sol Pharma. In Sol Pharma, I was basically, taken for product management, uh, but there was an opening for zonal head north. So they told me, you go there, it will be better for you. It will be a real challenging assignment for you. So I took over as head of North Zone. It was 1/4 of the country. So then I realized that the branded generic ball game is totally different, and the marketing or the selling which we did in German Remedies with concept products, concept selling required, and what we did in Sol Pharma was totally different because branded generic, as you are aware, for every molecule there were 100 brands, hundreds of brands. So getting the loyalty of a doctor to prescribe your brand was a big challenge,
Big challenge.
and big challenge, and that was what I learned. Because if I did not get into branded generic selling, my whole world would have been restricted to selling research products. So this was a great learning for me, but unfortunately, Sol Pharma went into liquidation, and then I joined Dabur in Delhi because I was already in Delhi in the oncology division, which did very well. In fact, it was the market leader. It overtook all these companies which were existing like Khandelwal and Biochem. So those were the market leaders in those days. But since Dabur came first in the market with the taxanes, we had a strong foothold very quickly. Plus the backward integration of the molecules, the taking over of the Kalani Pfizer factory and using it for producing taxanes. This helped a lot to get the price competitiveness. We had a very low cost of production, and we could make it affordable to the patient. Plus, naturally, loyalty game was already there because in oncology, every customer gives huge amount of business. So first 1 year, despite having the best molecule of the world, we could not make much headway. But soon we played the royalty game, and the business, started growing exponentially. So that was again a very good uh, advantage for me. Uh, then, of course, as was the trend in those days, uh, Dabur Oncology was hyped off to Fresenius Kavi. Uh, Unfortunately, after that, they didn't do so well. So then I had joined for a short period of time uh, an international NGO, which was working in reproductive health. So this was based in the USA, and I was looking after social marketing in India. But that was a very brief period. And then subsequently, I worked for a biotech company based in Cuba. I was looking after the national business as the vice president and country manager. And then onwards, last more than a decade, I thought of doing something on my own. So I needed some side by side, some regular inflow of money also. So my boss on Dabur, he had started his own oncology startup. So he told me that you work for us, uh, and side by side, whatever you want to do, you can always. So that's how I started my own consulting and training. So that's how I'm placed now.
Mhm.
The last 2 years pandemic has been difficult for all of us, and yeah, I didn't mention to you that I was also teaching for 5 years in Jamia Hamdard University in their pharmaceutical marketing department, and also side by side I joined Delhi University, which the institute is called DIPSAR. So their pharma MBA program. So I designed the curriculum for Hamdard. I basically redesigned it, and uh, that gave me a lot of satisfaction interacting with the students. So whatever little knowledge I acquired in more than 3 decades, I could transfer to people, and they have done well. Most of these people have done well. So that's all about me. So you can go ahead with your questions.
So it was an excellent journey, sir, and it was so much challenging and with full of learning, sir. So, to your vast experience, sir, I would like that you could benefit my audience, particularly to the freshers who are aspiring this career. So, the first question, what I feel like the best will be for you, sir, that what is a typical career path for a freshers in pharma sales? You think, sir?
In sales, okay.
Yes, sir.
If I have to talk about sales, I think the career path uh, I'll first discuss for General Pharma.
Yes, sir.
General Pharma career path, typically a person joins as a trainee medical representative. Here on, I'll say MR because medical representative every time becomes a little long. So you join as a trainee MR, and then once you are ready to take higher responsibilities as a team leader, you are promoted as an area business manager. So that is when you are handling about 5 to 8 people in your team, and after that you become a state head or maybe part of a state if the state is very big, and you are called a regional business manager with a team uh, of 3 to 4 or maybe 5 area managers. So nowadays the structure of many companies has become flatter. So the regional business managers report directly to the national sales manager. But in case the field force is very big, say 1,000 plus for General Pharma, then it is required that there's another level in between, which is the zonal sales manager or uh, sales manager, who looks after 3 to 4 regional managers. So actually, it is a pyramid. So you have medical reps, you have area business manager, regional business manager, and finally the national sales manager. And the organization structure depends on the number of people you have at the lowest level, that is the medical rep level. So now this is the general pharma scene. But if you see the super specialty, there it is only a handful of customers, handful of doctors who are giving business at the national level, huge amounts of business, because the super specialty drugs tend to be of a much higher cost, higher price. So it's a handful of maybe 5-10,000 doctors, not even that, uh, which give you crores of rupees of business. So to cover that, normally a company, say for example, if I take the example of oncology, uh, to cover those many doctors, a small customer group, you don't need more than 100 people. You know, even if you create divisions to look after different product groups in oncology, you don't need more than 100 people. So naturally, the structure is a little flat. You don't need three levels of hierarchy. So people join as a sales officer or a business officer, and then they are promoted as area business manager. They do the same work. The job profile doesn't change. Then you become a regional business manager. There, your job profile may or may not change. You remain the frontline salesperson. But at the level of zonal manager, yes, you are handling a team of 7, 8, or 10 people. So one should not think of, like General Pharma, I have become a first line manager, area business manager, second line. Here in super specialty, it is the amount of business you are giving that determines your designation, the amount of area you are covering that determines your designation. So typically, a regional manager of a general pharma company, sorry, uh, would probably give business equivalent to one area business manager or a frontline salesperson. So that is the importance of a frontline sales officer or executive in a oncology or in any super specialty. So one should not feel discouraged to join super specialty because the role is doesn't change very frequently. Your designation will change because you'll be upgraded. Your grade will change. Internal staff grade of the company will change. You'll go higher and higher, but your role may not change frequently. But that is not actually that is something which has a positive side also. I mean, you jump two levels at a time. You suddenly become head of one fourth of the country.
Sir,
Then you become.
sorry to tell, sir, there are, because I have worked with super specialty in so many companies, sir. The only
Hmm,
thing with super specialty is that you do not have the opportunity to say that I would not continue with this set of customers, because the customers are so very limited in a
hmm,
geography. So
hmm.
what you have, you by any means you have to get the business. So your efficiency must grow every day, so that you could convert your accounts on daily basis, and by any means whosoever is in the
You
field
are
must
you are
contribute to your
absolutely
business.
right. I agree with you 100%. And one more thing which matters in super specialty is the trust between the doctor and the company person.
Salesperson. That is true,
That
sir.
trust is very important. Uh, yeah. So maybe the next question.
So I'm coming to again the freshers end, that if a fresher is joining, since it's a business of pharmaceuticals, but it requires sales. So, what background suits the most? A commerce background or a science background, sir? And what is the basic eligibility criteria should be to a candidate if he's willing to get into this business and do better in the career?
Okay. See, the eligibility criteria for a beginner depends on the company, its stature, and the products the company is handling, the company is selling. For instance, in a general pharma, which is selling acute therapies, cough, cold, antibiotics, uh, large field force. In general pharma, uh, the larger companies, the more prominent companies, they definitely prefer a science graduate, preferably medical group, or a pharmacy graduate, because nowadays uh, there are many pharmacy colleges which are churning out B.Pharm pharmacy graduates. In UP itself, I believe there are 1,500 pharmacy colleges. So they are readily available. But again, sometimes the quality of the BSc person is better than the B.Pharm guy.
Mhm.
So in general pharma, again, uh, if the main thing which a company looks forward to is the person's personality, the physical attributes, you know, because ultimately at the customer contact level, the personality is very important. You can have a lot of knowledge, but again, if your personality doesn't suit the doctor will not write your product, prescribe your product. So the question of likability is very important. Whoever is interviewing should find the person likable. You know, he should have a pleasing personality. So apart from qualification, if he has a good personality, sometimes even arts graduates are also taken in big companies, arts, commerce. So the qualification doesn't matter as long as you have the right profile to sell in a very competitive environment. So one is the qualification, other one is the personality. And one thing which I have noticed, you would have also noticed, the behavior of the salesperson in pharmaceuticals, they get into a stereotype. You know, virtually in General Pharma, I shouldn't be saying, but they sound like tape recorders. They get in, start detailing. There's very little human touch. So there are companies which also look into the other side, like the person's, human characteristics, whether he has a sense of humor. Because if he cannot laugh spontaneously, smile spontaneously, then he'll not be liked by the customer. Uh, See, I had a very funny question when I was recruiting people. I used to, right in the beginning of the interview, after the HR round is over, I used to ask one question and see how the person reacts. I used to straight away ask, do you have a girlfriend or do you have a boyfriend? I mean, the reaction says it all. See, the thing is, I always felt a person who cannot propose to a girl or a boy, young girl, 20, 21 years old, 22 years old, uh, he doesn't have that self confidence. So I have made very few mistakes in recruitment, but going by this criteria. No, because sense of humor, romanticism, these are all qualities which stand in good stead for a successful
Okay.
MR. So personality, physical attributes, qualification, all these three are important. But let me tell you, for super specialty, uh, a arts graduate or a commerce graduate is not desirable. Companies go for science medical group or pharmacy graduates. Sometimes even MBAs if it's a multinational. Because MBA it's more used as a screening criteria these days. Because if you don't say MBA, there'll be lakhs of biodata. The moment you say MBA, the biodata numbers are reduced. So a lot of companies, especially the MNCs, research companies, they prefer taking pharmacy and science only, medical group only. So that's in the recruitment scenario and for beginners, freshers.
And sir, for senior positions, first, whosoever is in the industry already. So, what are the aspects a management looks for? And those people who are with other industry and thinking to get into this senior positions role in pharmaceuticals. So, what are the basic things they should look in, and according to that, they should prepare themselves for this senior positions roles.
Okay, now again, I tell you the company recruitment policy refers from one company to the other company. But by and large, uh, for the junior level area business manager, the criteria is very simple. You know, he has to be a good performer. He may not be an excellent performer, but definitely has to be a good performer. Because unless you're a good performer, after your elevation as area business manager, your own team members will question you. Okay, so being a good performer is the first, and second is obviously the leadership qualities. And for the regional business manager, it is not difficult to identify a real leader in a group. It can be identified during field work, joint field work, or even in the briefing meetings. So normally, companies, the line management, they know that if this person performs, he'll be in line for a promotion sooner or later. But again, leadership sometimes alone fails. You know, a person may be delivering sales, he may have leadership, but to become a area business manager, his customer management at two levels should be very good. One is at the doctor's level, which generally most of these people who are leaders, their customer management at the doctor's level is good. But where a lot of people lack is managing the trade. When
Okay.
it comes to closing sales, when it comes to going to the distributor for orders, that is where they fumble. So in spite of a very good secondary sales, they are unable to complete their budget. So this is something which most companies are very cautious about. That unless his trade handling is good, uh, at the chemist level, at the distributor level, uh, they'll not get the favor of the company. So it's very much required leadership qualities, uh, good sales performance, and also customer management.
Sir, one thing which I was asking to Mr. Sengupta also, and he told his viewpoint. To you also, I am putting that question: that is job hopping is good for career growth, or continuing with the same organization with the
This is a very good question. This is a very good question. I have not heard what Mr. Sengupta said, but in my opinion, job hopping should be done only if required. You know, the thing is that uh, one should see why people jump from one company to the other. Either they are in a position of weakness, they know that uh, his stability is in question in that company, so they run to another company. Okay, fair enough. And one has to look after his own job. So, second is, so one has to be proactive. I fully agree with these people that if you are not in favor with your immediate manager, sometimes it is not your fault. It could be some extraneous factors. So it is good to change well in time, because if you join from a position of strength to a new company, you get a better deal. Number two is, if you're already doing well in a company, if you are in your superior's favor, one should not join another company just because it is paying more.
okay.
Because you see, relationship with your own people, your peers, your bosses, your subordinates, relationship with your own people has a lot of value. So if you are doing well, just for a 20-30% raise, one should not change. Unless, again, there is something which is attracting you. Like maybe your dream was to join an MNC at some point of time, and you're getting a very good opening. Fair enough. Go ahead. I mean, there has to be a solid reason for change. Because in the career, at every point, when you are being interviewed, you will be asked reasons. Why did you change? And your reasons have to be satisfactory. Because unless you can explain, substantiate every change in company, it will become a deterrent for your career progress. So I feel change if you must, otherwise don't change. Because staying in one company, waiting for your opportunity, waiting for your chance is always good. Uh, if you are in a MNC, working as a territory business manager for 10 years, never mind. Sometime you will get an elevation. But if you join for designation to a smaller company who pays you equivalent, it's a very risky change, because a
Okay.
high salary in a small company, you are on a hot seat. So one should not be lured by money alone. So that is what I want. That's my personal feeling, that change should take place only if it is absolutely necessary, or if something is attracting you. You are fulfilling some objective which you had set for yourself.
Sir, what I have seen, and you might have experienced too, that with similar kind of brand strategies and product, some people do miraculous in their respective geography, and some people hardly get the optimum performance also. So, what are the secrets for those people who perform miraculous in their respective territory with similar strategies, which is not the case for other territories or the people?
This is a very good question, Ankit. I think I've faced this question many times in training programs from my students. That how do some people manage to achieve 100% of target month after month?
Yes, sir.
See, number one is, it is not just one's own satisfaction to achieve targets, because very often companies have a incentive linked to consistency. They may have a quarterly incentive, but at the same time, you get a little extra if you are doing month after month. And sometimes that extra can be 50% if you are achieving every month. That shows your consistency. Now, the big question is how? How does one get that consistency? See, sales targets are normally on primary sales. For the benefit of viewers who are new, primary sales is something which the company sells to the distributor. So X company sales is primary sales. So whatever end of the month orders are coming from a distributor or during the month, that is primary sales. Now, it can so happen that the market sometimes, there are always highs and lows, ups and downs. So you cannot say that you're going to hit the secondary sales target every month. Secondary sales is again from the stockist to the chemist. That, of course, depends on how much the doctor is prescribing, how many patients are buying or your product on the doctor's prescription. So that is something which there has to be ups and downs because the market is never static. So in spite of that, you have to achieve 100% of your target. How does one do it? It's very simple. If one is a diligent worker, sincere, honest, hardworking, smart worker, and always visible in the field, and the distributor also knows that this man is a very hardworking guy. Whenever there is some extra stock, he liquidates without a problem because his customer management is excellent, doctor's level, and he has got the distributor's confidence also. So such people, when you are falling short of your target, the primary sales target, suppose you're 20% short in a month, maybe 30%. So your distributor is going to help you to achieve 100% because that is primary sales. But the distributor has a confidence in you that next month he's going to liquidate that stock because he has got full command on the doctors. So the secret of achieving 100% month after month is that the doctors, you should enjoy a very good relationship with the doctor who you can request and he can prescribe in case there is an exigency. And the distributor, if there's a shortfall in your secondary sales, he's going to make it up for you. But the onus is very much on you that you're going to liquidate that extra bit of stock in the following month. So it is no rocket science. 100% achievers, they have got a very strong market presence. Doctors' clinic, on the roads, at the chemist level, at the distributor level. So anybody who follows these, secrets of relationship building at all levels, he can always achieve 100% month after month. One odd occasion, maybe the deficit is high, the distributor may not oblige. But by and large, I have seen this is a quality which most 100% achievers have.
Sir, since the time is over, but I have a last question, and I just, with your permission, I would like to shoot you, sir. So,
Yeah, please.
so sir, since you have a very vast experience of this pharmaceutical industry with so many organizations, and you are studying too much, where do you see this pharmaceutical industry of India in next 5 years?
See, from what I read, the growth is very healthy in the last few years. And India is already, if I'm not wrong, the sales is 42 billion per annum. That's the
Yes.
domestic market. That's the domestic market. And I think 11 to 17% growth every year. That's the type of growth that goes on. So the future is extremely bright. But what is making the future even brighter is the decentralization of Medicare. When I say decentralization, I mean, earlier there were tertiary care centers in the big cities only. But nowadays, the specialty treatment centers are percolating down to the district level. Example, again, I'll give your example of oncology. you can just see the number of radiation machines which exists now compared to the radiation machines which existed 20 years ago or 10 years ago. Now, every small town is now buying a radiation machine because the cancer treatment is no longer focused, concentrated on in cities. Maybe the first care is happening in the cities, but the follow-up treatment can be given in the smaller towns also. So medical care is now going down to the level of the district's headquarters also. So that is one reason why the market is growing, and today's market is being driven by the super specialty market, because cancer treatment, gastroenterology, immunology, neuropsychiatry, these treatments are no longer concentrated in cities. Uh, it is all over the place. Plus, the advent of new drugs like the monoclonal antibodies in oncology, the real high-end drugs, which gives a chance to the life of a patient, that is driving the growth. So today, the biotechnology market is almost catching up with the general pharma market in India because of these very expensive, uh, very sophisticated drugs, which gives a chance to the cancer patients to live their lives. So this is something which uh, you know prompts me to say confidently that the future of the pharma market in India is very bright, and it will grow exponentially in the coming years.
Thank you, sir. I'm just closing the stream and coming back to you, sir.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much.
So this was Mr. Rajarshi Dasgupta and sharing his vast year of experience with full of idea and then basic science. Uh, we will be meeting soon with some other character and we'll have the experience sharing in next episode. Thank you very much for watching this. Thank you everybody and good night.